This could change everything for the Florida Panthers. Well, at least for the roster for future seasons. With so many unrestricted free agents heading into the summer, can this man work his magic, re-sign the bulk of the ones that are the core that they need to retain? And this guy just won his third Selke Award, as well as another one. We'll talk about that in just a moment on this episode of Panthers Digest and a whole lot more. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Greg Andrews. Hit that subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your defending Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers. We've got a lot to get to here, guys, and we're going to talk a little bit about the salary cap for the future for the Panthers and a little bit of the misconceptions that people have been putting out there on this channel in terms of some of the comments, as well as some of the things that I'm reading just on X, on Instagram, and I want to kind of clear the air for those of you who understand the salary cap and how this works in terms of why the salary cap for this team looks so massively just open for the future. There's a reason behind it. Take your foot off the gas, break a little bit. There's some understanding that needs to be addressed here. But before we get into all this stuff and we get into some of the free agents, which we delved into before in some of the past episodes, but today we're going to tackle a little bit more. But first, we need to talk about this guy right there. He is one heck of a player. Just won his third Selke Award for Best Defensive Forward in the league. Now, he's up there with a few other guys who have won 3 of these trophies, but he still has 3 more to go to catch the man, the myth, the legend, Patrice Bergeron, who has 6 in total. I think he can do it. He's only 29 years old. He's got a lot of hockey left. So can he do it? I think he can. Will he? We'll find out. He's only 29. He also just won the King Clancy Memorial Trophy that goes to the player that exemplifies leadership on and off the ice, as well as humanitarian contributions to his community. And man, has he done that for the Children's Hospital down here. He has donated more than $450,000. And man, he is one hell of a player, one heck of a person. Just an all-around fantastic, fantastic human being. So big congratulations to Aleksander Barkov, or Sasha Barkov, guys. But let's just dive right into this really quickly. So what I wanted to get into, and there's a list of his other accomplishments. I forgot that was there, guys. So those are all of his accolades, only at 29-year-old. The Stanley Cup, Selke trophies, King Clancy, Lady Byng, a World Cup silver, and an Olympic Games bronze. But this is the guy I really want to address. It's him as well as Brad Marchand. We'll get into Brad Marchand a little bit later. Aaron Ekblad, we're not going to be talking about it right now because there's not a whole lot circulating about him at this moment. It is really all about Sam Bennett. And right now, from what is being rumored, what is being thrown out there, from what his team is talking about, as well as what other analysts are trying to throw out there, is that he is only interested really in 2 teams. I know there are a ton of teams out there that have interest in him, but the 2 teams that he has wanting to really look at, it's Toronto and Florida. With Toronto, the interesting thing about Toronto is they are looking at Brad Marchand as well as Sam Bennett and trying to get both of them maybe to join the Maple Leafs this offseason. But what has happened is, although these 2 guys butted heads before on different teams, now that they are on the same team, there is chemistry, there is friendship. It's wonderful, but this is the one thing that I want to show to you guys. We're going to go back to the main screen really quick. This is the one thing I want you guys to take a listen to, okay? This is John Shannon of 100% Hockey. This is what he thinks right now Sam Bennett is going to be doing. These are the 2 teams. This is his take on it. Literally, it's 4 seconds. Take a listen.
One of 2 places. He's going to play in Toronto or he's going to Sunrise, Florida. That's it.
See, pretty simple. That's his take. He doesn't think he's going to land anywhere else. He has no interest anywhere else. He is from Ontario, so Toronto kind of fits in where it's a possibility that Bennett could go to. Do they have the money? I do think they have the cap room money from what I was looking at before. Are they going to retain Mitch Marner? Who knows? There's still interest there. But again, we still have Stanley Cup finals to go through for the Florida Panthers, so any talk of what Bennett will do is kind of a just it's a loose end we don't need to talk about right now because it'll be tied up after the series is finished And then he'll start thinking about what he wants to do in terms of contractual obligations. Where's he gonna end up? There's no point for him to think about that. Focus on the Stanley Cup finals, and that is what he intends to do. But the rumors, like I just said, we're looking at this right now. Sorry, give me 1 second. There. David Pagnotta. Sam Bennett's preference is to stay in Florida. He's from the fourth period. So, good news for Florida Panthers fans. He wants to stay here. The question is going to be, can they afford him, and will he give the Panthers a discount after being here for so many years? And the Panthers have really helped him grow as a player. From points, goals, assists, being kind of a bad boy that he is, having that rough and tough attitude. You know, he's a fantastic all-around player, guys. He is great. So the biggest thing, and he's only 29 years old too. So he's kind of at that prime, maybe a little bit past that ultra, part prime of his career. He is there. He has put up some great numbers in the last few years, a couple of seasons of 20 plus goals and 40 plus points. So he has been having a great last couple of seasons, and he's had a phenomenal one this year, especially in the playoffs with his 10 goals. He has been nothing short of just exemplary for, excuse me, for playing in the playoffs. And since he was drafted by Calgary, again, he didn't do much when he was there, but ever since he became a Panther, he has done nothing but gotten better over the years. So let's keep moving forward. So this is what I want to show you guys that people are getting a little confused by. You can see here the next 4 years for the Panthers. You could see the UFAs, obviously unrestricted free agents, guys that are signed under contract. Some of them are past 2030. And you could see, obviously, Seth Jones, who I think they're going to retain for probably the rest of his career. He was brought in to technically replace Aaron Ekblad if Aaron Ekblad decides he is going to leave. I don't know if he's going to actually give the Panthers a hometown discount with the $7.5 million that he has been making. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But that's not what we're going to be talking about right now. Obviously, with Nate Schmidt and the other free agent, Jacob Megna, we'll see what happens there. But I don't think that those two guys will be a big chunk of this cap hit that we will take if they are re-signed. But we'll see. We will see. The biggest thing here is, we've got Dmitry Kulikov signed through the 2027-2028 season. You can see it here, guys. I don't need to read it to you. It's pretty straightforward. And Nico Mikkola, I really do hope they extend his contract because he has had a spectacular season and a great playoff as well. And then Sergei Bobrovsky, who knows what we're going to do with him. He's an aging goaltender at 36 years old. He is playing outstanding hockey right now. If they're able to keep him for another 2 years, maybe 3, what he's done is spectacular at his age. And for him, it just seems like he's just getting better as he's aging. So it's kind of a crazy thing to think about. So let's flip this over now and look at the forwards here. This is where things get really interesting, guys. And everybody keeps saying, well, they have all this cap room in the future and da-da-da-da-da. Well, the reason why you're seeing those numbers just escalate, yes, the NHL has increased the cap limit for the teams over the next few years. They're adding in so the teams have more money to get players. The Panthers are a very attractive team, one, because their front office has done a phenomenal job of building a roster, finding the talent, sculpting it, and bringing these guys together and having chemistry. And with the coach and Paul Maurice, everything has just been this beautiful marriage that Bill Zito has been able to create with building this solid roster. But there are some holes in it, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But here, Brad Marchand, you see there, Sam Bennett, those are the two that we're going to be eyeing right now. Mackie Samoskevich, he's a restricted free agent because he's a rookie. I'm sure they'll get him with a pretty low deal, and probably for the next few years, and they'll probably restructure that if he does play well. I mean, he did have a great regular season. Little bit chippy for him when he got into that second round series against the Leafs. That's why he's not in the starting lineup right now. In that lineup on the ice, but we'll see what happens there. But this is really about looking forward. You could see for the next at least 3 seasons, there are a lot of guys who are not going to be under contract. A lot of unrestricted free agents. Guys, I think we should look into keeping. I think Evan Rodriguez, absolutely. Luostarinen, they definitely need to keep him. But look at the top, that line that I drew there. All of these guys that are signed at least to the 2030 season and beyond. Obviously, Barkov's not going anywhere. Tkachuk's not going anywhere. Reinhart's not going anywhere. Carter Verhaeghe's not going anywhere. So those guys are going to be here for a while. But that's the reason why, because the way that this works, guys, those of you who already understand this, don't even worry about listening. But for the rest of you who say, man, they're going to have, $70 million and 20, blah, blah, that's because the way you're looking at this is they have nobody under contract. That's why there's all of that cap room that they're able to spend. But that's going to change when they start extending players. That's why the numbers, you can't be so naive and say, well, they've got all this money in the future. They can spend it however they want. Keep the roster that you have that's been working, that's been taking you to Stanley Cup finals. Even if you've lost one, won one, you win one, or you lose one, whatever it is, if you keep making it to the Stanley Cup finals year in, year after year, you have a winning roster that is working. Stick to what is working. Stick to the guys on the roster. If you have to make changes here and there on that fourth line, maybe on that third line, so be it. It's going to happen. You're going to have to lose guys to free agency. They're going to want money. I think that with the way this team is, with the way that Bill Zito runs things, with the way that Paul Maurice talks to his players, and he is in terms of not really enticing them, but telling them, let's build something for the future, guys. Let's keep this together. Let's not break everything up. Let's keep winning. And I've said this in the past with Dwayne Wade, who took less money to bring in LeBron James and Chris Bosh. And I know somebody said, well, Udonis Haslem was the heart and soul. Yes, I know. And they were able to pay him more to keep him here. And that's great. But the whole point is, players need to be unselfish when it comes to the amount of money they're making. The best players in the world, to me, in any sport, are not the ones who are getting paid the most. They're the ones that are more cerebral in terms of saying, I know I'm a great player, but you know what? I want to surround myself with great talent as well. And I could lead and help by taking less money and bring in great talent to build a solid roster to win championships. That's the nature of what these guys are supposed to be doing, is win championships. It's about winning. Yes, you're going to make money. You're getting paid big bucks to play a sport. But the best in the business will take less to bring talent to build a really great roster. And I'm hoping that Sam Bennett, even though I do think he's worth between that probably $7 to $8 million range. I mean, I think teams will probably try to throw $9 to $10 million, but the problem is going to be after taxes, after other variables and things, his paycheck at the end of the year, at the end of the season, is not going to be as substantial as it is if he stays in Florida. And let's say he does take, between $6.75 to probably $7.5 million per year. And I'm going to give you some numbers here that are very interesting, which I'll show you in just a second. So again, there's Brad Marchand I wanted to talk about as well, because he's an interesting factor at making just between, what was it, about $6 million a year, 6.2, something like that. And the Panthers didn't have to pay that much because he's technically on lease right now. We're renting him. We're only paying, I think, about $3.7 million. That's the cap hit we're taking from him being on the roster. I think he will stay. He will take less money because he loves it here. And he has made some statements, which I'll get to in just a little bit, about his contract negotiations and what he believes about being under long-term contract versus being in the position that he currently is. We'll get to that in just a minute. So this is what I wanted to show you. These numbers of the salary cap moving forward. You see, in 2028, 2029, they have $70 million in cap room. But that's because you could see the active contracts, 7 of 23. That's why there's so much cap room, guys. Don't think of it as, oh man, they're going to have all this money to get whoever the heck they want. No, they're going to retain a lot of players. They're going to extend contracts. Those numbers are going to shift. The good news is the NHL is allowing teams to spend more. The salary cap is going to be bigger, so that way teams can spend a little more on players. And it should get interesting. But in terms of what the Panthers should do with Sam Bennett specifically, guys, and this is the interesting thing. So we could say right now that if they let Bennett walk, they can elevate Lundell. Lundell has played very, very well. I think he's possibly earned that elevated spot to the second line, and you could let Bennett walk. And one thing that the Panthers do need to focus on in the future is having an interest in that third line center, because they need to shore up some defensemen, especially right-handers, that are going to be reinforcing that defense. They need more of that. So if they let Bennett walk, Lundell, they'll sign him a little bit longer term, and they'll be able to save some money, and they can allocate that money into getting right-handed defensemen. And they do need that. Absolutely. But the thing is, if they do retain Bennett, for how long? And for how much per year? How much is it going to eat away at your cap space for a guy who potentially, yes, he has big numbers, he has played great. Can he keep it up? Again, he is 29 years old, but let's see how we finish out. That's why he said, let's wait and talk after the season is completed, after the finals are done. We'll figure it out. And I do think he might give a discount to the Panthers, and I'll get into that in a second. So he's on the second line as a center. Second line centers average around $4.71 plus million per year. That's the average in the NHL for a second line center. Top 15 teams, their second line centers average around $5.4 million. If you're a veteran, as he is on those second line centers, top 15, they make just under $7 million. I think it was $6.9 million roughly is what these guys are averaging. Now, the best person to really look at to compare him to salary-wise is Cirelli from the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's the best comparison. He got his 8-year, $6.25 million a year contract several years ago when he was 26. And that at the time was almost 7.5% of the cap room that he was taking up. So $6.25 million. That's what he was getting. But now that the cap room is going up, if we're going to look at that 7.5% that Bennett could get per year, we're looking at $7.25 million per year. That's essentially where we sit right now, where the numbers, if you want to look at a comparison-wise and the rest of the league, that's probably what Sam Bennett is going to be looking at. Will he take less? Maybe. Again, don't fix what isn't broken. Keep this team together. I think that's what Bill Zito is going to push. I think that's what Paul Maurice is going to say to him. Let's just keep this running. There's such great chemistry here. I think if he stays, Marchand stays. Who knows what happens with Ekblad? That's a conversation for a different day because there's not a whole lot of talk about him as of right now. I do think because he's had his whole career here, he might stay, but there are also some rumblings, again, of Toronto, I believe Montreal, and there's a couple of other teams that are rumored to have interest in Ekblad as well. And man, would it be weird to see him in a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey after spending his whole career here in Sunrise, Florida. So a lot to soak in. But again, for those of you who are like, well, we've got all that cap space, it's a mirage. It seems great, but those numbers are going to go way, 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 way down in the future because of the fact that they're going to be extending contracts. They're going to lose some guys to free agency. They're going to look into the talent pool of free agency and bring in guys because there's going to be a lot. There's going to be change. As big of changes as some people might believe the Panthers may have, I don't think it'll happen in the next 2 or 3 years. I think beyond that, maybe. But it also depends, again, are they going to win or are they going to lose the Stanley Cup final? If they win, I'd say more of the guys will more than likely try to stay and just keep this thing going for the next few years. Long-term contracts, I'm not going to say for a lot of these guys they'll do that, especially the guys that are over the age of 30, like 32, 33 years old. They might sign 2-3 year deals, possibly, and try to run the table for another 2 or 3 years. But after that, I don't know. But we already know those top two lines. I think the Panthers will do a good job to try to keep those guys together probably for the rest of those careers until probably 2032, somewhere around there. So the next between about 6 and 7 years. So as we keep moving forward here, just to show you guys a little bit of something, these are the lineups that have been skating in the last 24 hours. Rodriguez, Barkov, and Reinhart on the first line. Tkachuk, Verhaeghe, and Bennett on the second. Lustrinen, Lundell, Marchand. That has not changed. Boquist, Nosek, and Gajovic, and then Samoskevich and Sturm on that back fifth line as kind of the backups right now. And then we already know the pairings for the defensemen. And so this is what we're looking at heading into game one, which will be Wednesday. A couple of days to go, guys. It's anxiety for everyone. It's nerve-wracking, yes, but it's also so exciting. I cannot wait to see this rematch. I know all of you Edmonton fans leaving your comments. Again, thank you. Some of you have been a little bit crude with them, but I just want everybody to understand this is fun. This is entertainment. I'm giving you my opinion. You can have yours, but please, again, be respectful. That's all I'm asking. Be respectful to me. Be respectful to the other people that are commenting as well. You can have your opinion, state some facts, things like that to back it up. By all means, do it. I encourage you guys to do so. And yeah, this is going to be one heck of a series. I can't wait to see it. Everybody's talking. I think Hyman is going to be probably one of the biggest factors. That loss for the Edmonton Oilers is going to be such a big factor because he is such a contributor there, and he's a bigger guy. He can throw his body around. He's great. He's great on defense too, and he can make plays on both sides of the ice. He really does, and we'll see what happens. Again, everybody's saying McDavid is going to be all over the place and whatever. The Panthers are just such a great defensive team. And again, it's the hockey psychology that the Panthers play with compared to other teams. If we knock McDavid off of his game and Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl, if they're able to get in their heads, if they're able to push them around and be physical like they did in the regular season that I've talked about, if they're capable of doing that, the chances of the Panthers winning the series, I think, go up dramatically. And all you guys saying it's going to be a 5-game series, again, it's let's not go that far. We haven't even seen game 1 yet. Tell me after game 1 and what we're looking at with these two teams. Then we can talk about, all right, how far do you see this going? Is it really close? Is it going to be a blowout? Who knows? We'll see. We are not there yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get here. Okay, so this is what I want to get into. That's not the first graphic I want to show you. This is the one. This is Paul Maurice on this team right now. I'm not being disrespectful to the other teams I've coached, but this is the best team I've ever coached. It's not really that close. That says a lot coming from this man who's coached some damn good players. He is a legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And if this is coming from him, it says a lot. It says a lot about this team, about the guys on it, and how hard they work, how their camaraderie is there, the chemistry, they push each other. They just seem to be doing everything right at the right moments. Next. This is Brad Marchand on being under contract versus not. I didn't really want to play contract years out because I never really wanted to have that stress. I always wanted the security of maybe taking a little less and you get a deal done early and you have the security of it being done and you could just worry about playing hockey. However, I find when you go into a season playing without a future contract, things matter. Your stats matter more. So it doesn't just become about the team. When you're on term and you're on a contract, it can be all about the team, and you can sacrifice whatever you need to be part of the team. But in contract years, you can't do that. You have to be a bit selfish. So, to me, that says he is looking forward to maybe having a 1 or 2 year deal somewhere. He likes what he's doing right now on the team because he's playing for the team. This is what he is doing right now, He is excited to be here. He's focused. He's ready to rock and roll in this finals. Is it going to be his last? I don't think so. I do think he will stay here. I think he realizes he's not going to get $6 million a year. I think he'll get somewhere between about $3.75 million to maybe about 4.2. And if the Panthers are able to sign him for about a 3-year deal, 2-year deal, I know he's getting older. He'll be almost 40 at the end of that contract. But hey, he's still got gas in the tank. You could see it when he's playing. Clearly, you can. And then this is Darren Dreger from TSN who's talking about Sam Bennett. I don't think Sam Bennett would play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not a matter of market or media scrutiny. It's just that he is going to have choices. If he gets to free agency, 20 or more teams might pursue him. Absolutely. He is
one of 2 places.
Sorry about that, guys. He is going to be very sought after from so many teams. But I said this already. He loves it here. He knows the front office. He knows the coach. He knows the players. He's got this chemistry built already. His home, I believe, is right next to Matthew Tkachuk's. So, he's got such a great reputation here. I know everybody hates him around the league in terms of the fans do, because man, he takes it to you guys. He's physical. He doesn't care. He's a basher, man. And that's what people love about him. And that's what teams love about him. And Toronto, if you told me he went to Toronto, let's say he goes next year, or you guys are going to tell me you're not going to want him. If he goes to Toronto next year, I think it's going to be one hell of an interesting story if he signs with that team, especially with Stolarz and all that stuff. What are you going to say then if that happens? I can guarantee you, Stolarz is going to say it was not intentional. I don't want to get back into this whole thing again, but you guys will take Bennett any day, any minute. If he said yes, you'd say yes. Bring him in. Bring him in. Any other team would too, guys. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me today. That was pretty much our cap talk and our talk about Sam Bennett, and then a little bit about Aleksander Barkov and his awards, and then a little bit about Brad Marchand. Tomorrow's episode is going to be more geared towards leading up to Wednesday night's Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to go over some of the matchups, the lineups, everything, coaching strategies, anything and everything that has to do with how is this game going to play out for the teams. Are we going to see the Skinner, who's been playing great and great between the pipes for Edmonton? Are we going to see Bobrovsky still playing dynamite between the pipes as well? Or are we going to get a different version from each goalie? Is one going to have more of a standout game and be a brick wall than the other? That remains to be seen. I think we need to look at more of the numbers again and look at some of the past series that they've had and some of the matchups. Is Paul Maurice going to have to change what line faces what line from his team to the Oilers? Is he going to have to shore things up and put a little bit of a monkey wrench into his game plan like he did against Toronto when he started putting his second line against Toronto's first line, and it worked out beautifully and paid off for the Panthers, who won in 7 games. But guys, again, thank you for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I am your host, Greg Andrews. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Lots to get to for the rest of the week. It's going to be one heck of a series. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting. Stay tuned for my next episode tomorrow. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll have another one out tomorrow. Go Cats.